What's up, sassy gamers? Today is May 13th, 2021, and this has Got Our Attention Podcast, episode 48. Was that better?
Did you not have the audio on?
Is that better? I think that one worked out. I think that was great. I think I like the facial expressions you guys gave on that one much better than the first. So I think I'll call that a win. That one's a win for me. So yeah, here we are. Brian, you're here with me, right? Brian and Bruno. Bruno and Brian are both here with me. Totally.
Are we?
They're super ecstatic to be here. They can't control their feelings right now. They're super excited to talk about these stories today, and yeah, that's what we're going to start with today.
I have no idea what's going on.
Yeah, I know that Brian and I are definitely all here, but I'm not sure where Mike's at right now.
But are we ever? I mean,
that's true.
Yeah, I could.
Literally, this is the man who's like right before the podcast. Hey, should I do my Windows updates? They're bugging me.
I mean, that's what they're for, right? You're supposed to run them. That's the idea. So then your computer is better.
You say delay till 3 o'clock in the morning when I'm peacefully sleeping.
Yeah, but that's not fun. Can't troubleshoot issues when you're sleeping.
I said it last week. You're an adrenaline junkie. You want to do anything you can to mess with your system right before the podcast because you want to know, can I fix it in time?
It was a really, really long-winded way of saying Mike's an idiot.
You're right. That is easier. Mike's an idiot.
Oh, man. You guys.
That was our first news story, by the way.
Listen, Mike is not an idiot. He's our intrepid host.
Intrepid host. Okay. I'll have to go Google that one
later.
So
Google venerable too, because I think I fit underneath that.
Oh my. So the thing this week is it's been a busy week, not necessarily for the news, but for all of us. Like it's been a heck of a week. So there's a lot of things this week, which we'll talk about later, that will not seem the same as usual, and we'll talk about it. But the idea is, we'll keep trucking along.
I don't even know what you're talking about.
And
we're just a little tired.
Brian doesn't know either. We'll talk about it later when Brian then understands what I'm talking about. So with that, we're going to say news time. Bruno, take it away.
News time. Okay, so for the first thing that we'll say this entire time, that'll make sense. We're going to talk about Epic Games. So essentially, a lot of information has been coming out about what Epic Games has been up to from confidential documents being released during this Apple versus Epic court case. And the most recent slew of documents that has been released indicates that Epic Games has offered Sony alone $200 million for at least 4 first-party PlayStation games in the last year alone. That's a lot of money. We're talking about they're not trying to get exclusivity for these games on Epic Games as in it's the first place for it to release. They just want it to be the first place on PC that it releases. That's what they're paying for. If I'm not mistaken, some of these titles included things like Horizon Zero Dawn, which obviously didn't pan out that way because Horizon Zero Dawn actually released on both Steam and Epic Games, I believe, simultaneously. But this is something that they were attempting, and now this information is public knowledge thanks to the Apple versus Epic Games lawsuit. And I think it's very telling of how hard Epic Games is working to really almost break up the monopoly that Valve has had on the PC game launcher scene. Like, they're willing to put themselves well into the red in terms of how much they're spending to get those games on that launcher versus how much they're making just to make that launcher something that people want to actually utilize. Pretty freaking crazy.
Yeah, it's interesting. What do you have to say?
I was going to say it's pretty interesting too, because they offered Sony exclusives for that, but when the games are coming out anyway on other other stores or other ways for the PC anyway. It didn't seem like Sony bit on that 200 million all that much.
Yeah.
No, they definitely didn't.
What I was gonna
showed
say
Next to no interest, really.
was that this is like, so I know when we initially started talking about this whole like war between Apple, it was like Fortnite, and we were talking about like, oh, people are complaining. Like, this is the good stuff. Like, we're starting to see, and well, here, I guess, the good stuff that's been kind of unraveling on this, like, this epic story that we're, covering. Yeah, you like how I did that? So that is, that's been very interesting. And this is not the only thing that's happened because of this. Obviously the Sony deal, a lot, and it's really interesting to see that there are a lot of pieces to this major puzzle. So it's not just Epic, it's not just Apple. We talked about Steam a little bit because of the monopoly and such, but there has been news about Nintendo in this mix. There's news about Xbox in this mix, and people that weren't even involved in this whole like case thing, this lawsuit. So some of the things they mentioned is there was a fact that Phil Spencer is actually occasionally meeting with Gabe Newell from Steam, from Valve. That was something that they had found out, and like kind of their they called it individual tactics, and they were like kind of documenting the things they were about other companies, about how they were trying to see what's going on. And apparently he was over there, talking with Gabe Newell, like, what are they doing? Like, what's going on over there? What can we do? They were even looking at trying to figure out when some of the releases for like Nintendo were going to be happening, so that they could then try to simultaneously either talk with Nintendo to get those releases somehow on Epic, or potentially, figure out what games they wanted to release around their windows, so they didn't release things when like Breath of the Wild got released, or any other major game on like the Switch and such. So. There's just a lot of information that's coming out about this, and there's so much of it too, because now it's like I said, they're in the lawsuit, they're getting all this information out there, which is becoming public knowledge, and it's very interesting stuff out there.
Yeah, I mean, we talked about it, I think, like last week with Microsoft getting dragged into it. Like most major gaming companies or software companies in general that do anything in the gaming scene, even just app developers, are getting pulled into this because there's a lot of questions like. In order to continue this case, they're trying to figure out like how much money do you actually make.
There's even stuff like so many people are getting dragged into it, and apparently a bunch of documents were put on a public share that weren't supposed to be put there, and they quickly pulled them back. But I think The Verge got copies of everything before they pulled them back, and then they put them back on there redacted, and a bunch of game companies are like, whoa, wait a minute. That's sad confidential information of our like game plan and our roadmap. And now like the public knows this stuff. We want to have this stuff redacted. And the judge is like, it's already out there. There's nothing we can do. And then like, I think Paradox, I think was one of the developers that said, okay, our stuff wasn't leaked yet. By the way, if these topics come up, do not let them talk about it in court. And like a whole bunch of these game companies are getting with their lawyers now because there's tons and tons of information that is not publicly available that could affect stocks and could affect sales and could affect a whole bunch of things with these companies that's getting leaked on this stuff. It's just crazy. We haven't seen anything like this for years, if not decades. Nothing to this scale. Like we've seen some small stuff
too, like in a way, because if you read into the documents, the amount of money that some of these games made off of being hosted on the Epic Games Store, on special deals, or these developers got off of it, was a lot, like a lot of money, like a lot more people bought it. They're like, holy crap! Like this game just appeared on Epic Games, and like maybe what if Paradox's games is free on here? So people go and buy that, and they're like, oh, I want more, and their sales went up. So it shows that, like, for a lot of the bad that's going on, Epic Games is also pushing up some really insane numbers. Like, in terms of finances, no, they're still losing, but their CEO even said, oh, I intend to lose. I intend to lose right up until 2025. But numbers-wise, they're doing amazing, like over 100 million unique active users or something along those lines, which is just insane
Mm-hmm.
when you think about how early on the launcher is.
Yeah, one of the documents that got leaked covered exactly that, which was the free games that they had offered, how much
Still offering.
they paid, and still offering, how much they paid the publisher for those free games, to say, okay, we're going to offer you your game free for a week. Here's a lump sum of money.
Mm-hmm.
And then that's only the beginning of the story here, because the document shows how many new signups for the Epic Game Store they got for that free game.
Mm-hmm.
So then they figured out how much each signup cost them. So they, like, one of the big ones was the Arkham, I think it was Arkham Knight. See right here. Yeah. So Batman Arkham for Warner Brothers, they paid Warner Brothers $1.5 million. And they had 514,000 almost people sign up for the first time, which was 10% of the downloads. So out of all the downloads, only 10% of them were new users. And they're like, okay, those 90%, you guys got a free game, but we got new users, which was this 10%, and that was $2.44 for every new sign up, essentially is what they spent.
Mm-hmm.
Compared to Subnautica, which was $1.4 million, and 804,000 people signed up, which was 17%. So only paid $1.74 for each sign up. And I mean, those are the big numbers. And then you start like going the opposite way, and you got like one of the very, very early ones. One of the first ones was World of Goo. And well, first they're an independent studio, at the time, or at least a smaller studio. And so they probably didn't negotiate well. How much would you like to guess a week's worth of their free games is worth?
Of just this last one, or the
World of Goo.
World of Goo?
World of Goo, giving it away a week for free. How much do you think they paid?
Couple 100,000.
$50,000.
Oh, what?
Wow.
$50,000. 155,000 people signed up to get it, which is about 6% of the downloads, which means they only paid 32 cents for each new sign up. Which,
Damn.
when you start breaking it down to the amount of money they paid for each sign up, and it's literally 32 cents for some of these, it starts making fiscal sense.
Yeah.
No wonder they want to lose money on this.
Well, and that's the thing too. You start thinking of the fact that, why do I use Steam for most of my purchases? It's because I already have a collection of games in Steam. Like, I don't want to have to keep going to different launchers, right? But I'm not saying Steam's the best. But if you get a company like Epic who is willing to be a business where you have to make, use money to make money, and you can give away free games to where my library in Epic starts getting to the point where I'm like, well, crap, maybe I'll just use that one instead and buy my games there, and that way everything will be there. Yeah, like, it's genius.
And they gave away some good games like The Witness, and they paid $400,000 for that. Transistor, they paid $200,000 for that.
I got Civ 6.
They gave away Grand Theft Auto 5.
Yeah, they did. And actually, I don't see that one on this list, interestingly enough.
In the actual 222-page document, I think it actually had its entire own page because of how big that was. I mean, it's GTA 5. That's a massive one. Massive free game to give out. But like, even now, like, looking at my list of games on Epic, like right now, I have like 50 some odd games on there.
Yeah.
And most of them were probably free, but a decent amount of them are ones that I bought. Like, because I was like, well, I have so many games on here anyways. They're giving me free games. Yeah. I know that they take less of a cut. So if a game's going to release on Steam and it's going to release on Epic, I am at the point where I'm going to buy it on Epic 100% of the time.
Just to help out
There's
developers.
just no reason not to.
Yeah.
So to just a little bit more on the guessing game here, because like City of Brass, you may not have heard of that, but I have heard of City of Brass. That was $200,000 they got. Enter the Gungeon, which is a fun little game from an independent studio. $700,000 they paid for that. So that was later on down the road when they were able to negotiate more. Like Slime Rancher got $500,000. another like small little studio. What do you think they paid for a week's worth of For Honor from Ubisoft?
Oh God. Probably like 1.2 million.
$63,000.
Wow. That's impressive.
For Honor doing a lot worse than I thought it would.
Yeah,
Shit.
that's impressive. I expected with just the Ubisoft price tag, I figured it'd be a little more expensive.
Even Mutant Year Zero from Funcom was a cool $1 million. And they actually paid $5.05 per sign up on that because that only brought in 197,000 signups.
But at the same time, Ubisoft's a larger company and they probably could take less. Like they wouldn't take much of a hit if they sold it for that less, rather than like a smaller company that needs to really.
Was there crossplay for it? Is the question?
Yeah,
if there's crossplay, that probably. Well, I mean,
yeah, because if they brought it into the ecosystem where you could like purchase things from Ubisoft, that'd be kind of they would make out.
Or even just
That's
pump
true.
up their player base. If they pump up their player base in one place and there's crossplay, they're going to bring in players back on console and
could
Steam.
be.
No.
Yeah, it's always possible. So yeah, it was just amazing what this whole epic, as I think Xycia said it earlier, lawsuit has brought out. And if you are interested in this, most of the sites, Kotaku is one of the ones that literally, if you Google Kotaku, Epic, Apple lawsuit, they have a landing page that you can go through and they just have all their articles about everything that was released. There's probably other ones. The Verge, like I said, had grabbed some of these. All the major news outlets out there are jumping in on this. It's got another week for this lawsuit, I do believe, or about a week and a half, give or take. So there's still probably some more stuff that's going to be coming out. And so, I mean, most of it's boring. Like literally one of the articles today was like, oh yeah, Tim Sweeney from Epic was asked to point out the different consoles out of evidence. And they're like, please identify what evidence PX2777 is. He's like, it's a PlayStation 5. And they're like, well, what about PX27778? It's an Xbox Series X, which, by the way, for those that don't know, this is all available as audio as well because they made it available for the public to listen to. So you can listen to the audio. That didn't work too well the first day because the first day it was two-way audio. So there were a whole bunch of kids screaming into it, "Free Fortnite!" and screaming it into the courtroom, which was hilarious. But yeah, a lot of this is like you can go out and listen to it live as it's happening if you wanted to. But it's like anything else. It's going to be 2 hours of boredom with 5 minutes of excitement. Yeah. So it's easier just to go see the
I'm sure
articles.
there's got to be some entertaining moments because anything with Sweeney is going to have a little bit of an edge to it.
Yeah, I mean, again, you're going to have that 5 minutes of excitement, but you're going to have 2 hours of boredom around it. So it's easier just go see the articles and the people that are paid to listen to this and read what
I am
they
curious to see, and I'm sure that it was released in a document, so I'm going to probably look it up, how much money exactly they're actually pulling in off of Fortnite.
Yeah, I heard a number, and I don't know if it's lifetime or if it was an annual, but I heard somewhere around $9 billion.
Unreal.
And that is why Epic doesn't.
Well, it is
care.
built on the Unreal Engine, if I remember correctly.
Yeah. It is indeed.
And that is why Epic doesn't care if they give games away for free.
Yeah,
because eventually they're going to make money.
$300 million for free games, they're not going to care too much.
Yeah. So, in other interesting news, and this is a company we don't typically talk a whole lot about, other than Steam, because Valve is not really known for doing anything anymore other than Steam.
Yeah, we've frequently said they haven't made games for a while.
So, so last year, because of the pandemic, if you are a fan of Dota 2, there usually is a competitive international game or competition that they have every year where they give esport that they usually have multiple teams play in, and there's a huge prize pool. And because of last year with the COVID-19 outbreak, they had to cancel it. But there was no indication that they would even come back in 2021. But they have announced that they will be having the Dota 2 competition again this year. And this time, the prize is $40 million for the prize pool. So they haven't said right now if there's going to be live audience in this. They said they would announce more information come in June. But this will be the 10th installment of the international, which will take place in Sweden and Stockholm. So right now, it looks like typically they bring 18 different teams together to play. So this is going to be it's a huge esport. I mean, Dota 2 has been an esport before, like I guess esports, I guess you could say. But yeah, that's they are going to be doing 40 million this year, which is more than last year, which I think was 34 million, or the year before 34 million. So good news, especially with all of the upcoming, at least in America. I know we're having a lot more news of like the cases going down. So we're starting to see a little more information on, live concerts coming out. We're seeing more events potentially going to be happening. So as this pandemic kind of starts hopefully getting under control, at least in some areas of the world, we're going to start seeing things like this a little more. And then hopefully with more people getting vaccinated and things like that will also help some of that.
Well, yeah, but I mean, the majority of the audience before for the international was remote. I mean, they did have live audience.
Yeah,
certainly. And they had live, and really, it was funny because the live audience didn't come there. They came there to watch the game, yes. But a lot of times they came there because that's where you got exclusive merch. Like they would throw out this inflatable winged donkey because it was one of the couriers in the game that goes and gets your purchases that you made from the store for those that play Defense of the Ancients too. But not only did they have the inflated one, it came stuck to it a code for an exclusive skin. And people were going there to get these things because they would take those codes and they would turn around and they would sell the skins on Valve's built-in store, built-in trading, auction house, as it were. And they would sell that for $300, $400, $500. So some people were just going for that.
Yeah, I mean, that happens. I mean, that would happen at any convention. I mean, it's like any convention or any type of like huge event like this where you have, obviously an event going on, but then it's more of like the social, like just saying I've been. It's like the Super Bowl. You went. A lot of people go not necessarily to watch the game. They're just there to say like I've been to the Super Bowl and I was able to get the swag and all the stuff that came there. Same thing with this. I mean, it's just a different
That's
audience.
A crazy prize pool. 40 million.
Well, it's 40 million, and it's like that ends up getting divided up between all the teams basically that compete, each tier getting a different amount.
It's always interesting because like Valve does their prize pools a lot different than most esports sections. Like if you think of like so if you don't know, League of Legends prize pool is a lot smaller, even though League of Legends is obviously the dominant MOBA in the scene. Like,
it is.
League Worlds is like leaps and bounds about like in size compared to Dota 2. But the way that Dota 2 works, it is like they actually create their prize pool based off of their in-game sales on things like Battle Pass and skins. So their prize pools are always like ridiculously huge. Versus I think like Worlds is like $1 million or something.
And the Codex.
Yeah.
The Codex is what will drive this up because 40 million is what it's starting at. Again, 40 million is the entire prize pool. The winning team, the last time they had an international, looks like they took home 15 million. 15.6 million for the winning team.
I mean, that's
right. And that was divided among 5 people because you got 5 people on a Dota team. But 40 million is what it's pretty much starting at. They do the Codex. The Codex is each level you buy into the Codex unlocks certain things, unlocks announcer voices for you, unlocks loot boxes, literally random loot boxes that you open, unlocks skins. Like if you want a particular skin, you can unlock the Codex in different ways. It's similar to a battle pass. You can unlock it through playing the game, but you can just pay. And you can just pay to unlock a level. And the interesting thing about the Codex is there's theoretically no end to it. you can keep paying money into it. You can pay as much money as you can into it, and Valve takes their cut, and a certain percentage of the codex goes to increase the prize pool. So by the time the international happens, this could be a 50 million prize pool, could be a 60 million prize pool. It all depends on, like Demir was saying, how many skins they sell through their normal sales or through the codex, and the codex directly tied to the international.
Yeah, pretty exciting. And it's just so crazy to think, like, not even 20 years ago, like, esports didn't exist. And like, if you told somebody, hey, like, you're going to be watching on TV one day a group of people, a group of nerds playing video games and getting paid for it and watching all these people watch them, you'd be like, that's so crazy. That's not going to happen. Like, that would never happen. And then fast forward, here we are. Like, these people are
now
making,
it's like a huge,
yeah,
it's a huge thing. Like,
and it's not just this game. Like, it's a lot of games, like, in the esport world.
Overwatch.
It's amazing how quickly that turned. Like, Counter-Strike was, I think, really one of the bigger ones initially, and then when League of Legends came into the scene, it started off like, I remember playing League when it was like brand new, and I remember like back when like Reginald was on my friends list, and he was messaging people like, hey, you should join my website, Team Solo Mid. Like, the game was tiny back then. And then fast forward like 2 years, and it had blown up to such a ridiculous proportion. And Riot just like doubled down on it. They were like, we're gonna invest a lot of money into the esports side of things. And there were people that were really passionate and got that scene off the floor. And when it expanded, it just, everything else came with it. They showed, like, they were like, no, esports are not limited to like smaller venues and things like that. And like StarCraft and Counter-Strike are like the floor plans for something that can be much bigger. And now there's just so much into it. It's just ridiculous. Like, we're talking hundreds of millions of viewers,
Yeah.
billions of dollars in that entire industry, just every single year, over and over and over again. Everybody wants to make another game that can be another esport, whether it be, Fortnite or another battle royale copy of some sort.
Yeah, but it's got to be
fun. Which is bizarre because, they kind of forget that while some of them built that way, like Overwatch, were recent and took off, some of them forget that Dota 2, which is the sequel to Defense of the Ancients, Dota started in 2003. Like, it's old as dirt. And it's also an interesting thing that pretty much Dota is kind of like the game of American football. The football field doesn't change.
Yep.
The rules of how you play football sometimes change and evolve a little bit from year to year to year, but like League of Legends and Smite and stuff like that, they have all these different maps and everything, but Dota has one map. And like, it was a big deal recently that they changed the map and they like moved what trees you could knock down. I mean, it's a super bizarre thing, and watching people try to replicate these things, whether it be League, Smite, Overwatch, or Dota 2 in this case, is really crazy because some of these things are super established. Other ones just brought together the right ingredients together at the right time, because we see other people try to bring in together the same ingredients and can't, and just fail. So
yeah, and then
I'll continue to watch it.
The other thing too is esports, like, coming from the sport world, like, you obviously automatically think like your American football, so your Madden, your FIFA, your sports games, but like, those aren't the ones that are actually like the most popular esports. Like, those are like,
right,
they're out there. I mean, FIFA definitely probably one of the most popular, but
and Madden, there's
Madden, yeah, but it's like really at all these other ones that are really the ones that are like, with Counter-Strike and Dota and League of Legends, like, these are in Rocket League, obviously now, like, there's just so many different things that, before, just be competitive, like Nintendo 64 playing GoldenEye, there's 4 of us in a room, we're competitive, we're trying to be the best one. Maybe in a dorm you have like your whole dorm floor that you're trying to compete against.
Or Smash.
Or Smash, you're trying to like be the best. But that was it. That was the only level that you could do until like, Xbox Live comes out and you can start competing with your friends online. And it was like, now there's a scoreboard, I can compete. And so, and then you fast forward all of that to the now where we're like on the international level competing in these huge events with like all these huge cash pools. It's insane. And this is exactly the reason why the gaming industry has overtaken the movie industry and the TV industry by far, because there's so many people willing to put money into gaming, put money into watching esports. I mean, it's the same thing as watching football. Yeah, you wear a jersey, you watch a team play. It's the same thing. I mean, you're not on the team, you're not really making the calls. I mean, you're watching the TV, watching a thing. I mean, it's the same thing. There's real people making, physical plays, being athletic in that sense, but there's
I'm saying one of the big differences and one of the things that has hampered esports and something that Overwatch started to solve, but COVID and a number of things kind of stopped it, was there was no like regular sports. You have regional things. You cheer for the hometown team, right? Sure. Most esports. Oh, I guess I'm cheering for XX underscore Big Bobby underscore XXX. Like I have no clue. Like, so you don't even have real names half time. You got handles.
And that's that is the thing that's happened. And going forward though, a lot of colleges are starting their own esport teams and leagues for different games. So you're going to start seeing like even colleges that have like you're saying, I can cheer for my home team, my home school. And now we have an esport team that I can go cheer for Rocket League on. Like, all right, well, we're in Atlanta, Georgia Tech. That's our team, So it's
absolutely. I
super
think
interesting.
That's the direction they need to go. Because you got to have something to associate with it. I mean, not everybody does. Not everybody. But
that's the direction it's going in, though. Like, I have a friend who specifically, he went to school and he got a degree in sociology, and then he used that and applied it to doing esports for universities and colleges. And now he works as a director of esports and coach. And it's not even for one game. Like this college was like, no, we want to put together an entire esports team. We want to invest into this. Mm-hmm. We want people to play different games. Like, we want League of Legends, we want Counter-Strike, we want Overwatch, we want like all of these different things. We want to like put money into this specifically.
Oh, I would love it if the School of Psychology put together their esports team for Among Us.
Oh my God. Esport Among Us. I can't.
Well, like, I don't know. I'm holding out. I want a StarCraft 3. I love watching StarCraft competitive play.
It's still big huge in Korea.
I'm still waiting on Fall Guys to become an esport.
No, that's not gonna happen. It's also interesting, like we talked about Overwatch, and it's funny because everybody I talk to who kind of tries to work in the professional scene for esports or does in general, I guess like the general consensus is Blizzard really screwed up when it comes to Overwatch's competitive scene, because they overstepped, right? Like, esports was at a certain place and they thought that they could take it to another level, to where now these teams had to pay like ridiculous sums of money to be included in the tournament, because they thought that esports was at that point. Like, we've got a product, esports is big, we got a product that we think is good enough, so now we can get teams to buy in like it's real life. Like, you want to be in here, you got to qualify, you got to put the money up front. And that failed miserably because a lot of teams don't have that kind of startup money.
Yeah.
Right. And around the same time that they were doing that on the Overwatch side, they decided to kill the whole Heroes of the Dorm, where they killed all their collegiate Heroes of the Storm teams that were going like mid-season too. Mm-hmm. And it's like, so yes, you're not making money on Heroes of the Dorm. We get that. It's the goodwill that was important there. And for you to kill this in the middle of a season and kill like literally people were starting to build scholarships around some of the stuff.
I was going to say, imagine going to school with a scholarship, full ride, to play like Dota 2 or like League of Legends. Like I got into X college, like an Ivy League school, to be on the esport team. That is why I'm here.
That
like,
is coming.
I mean,
that is.
I know, but I'm saying,
really close.
like you imagine that, like you went to college for free because you played a video game well. Like,
hey, for some people, that's no different than going to college because you got a scholarship for band.
yeah,
And
no, I'm not knocking it.
trying to
I'm just
belittle-
saying, like, that is awesome. Like, I'd
Yeah.
love to be a person that I could say, yeah, I got a full scholarship to Yale because I joined their esport team on, on CS:GO.
You dig into it now, like there are
wild.
actually companies that run programs where parents can pay for their kids ages like 6 and up to enroll into what is essentially like professional gaming camps where they get to be trained by
Jesus.
like semi-professional or full professional players for the individual games that they're interested in to learn how to play these games. Like, and they pay a lot. Like, we're talking like a couple grand for like 2 months of time.
It sounds more like the
I
parents
mean-
really wanted 2 months off, is what it sounds like, and they sent them
Well,
off to this camp.
that and these ex-professional gamers, I mean, they got to do something to pay the bill once their CPMs start to drop off.
Yeah.
I mean,
Well, what's funny is,
they got to do something for a job.
like, obviously with the Rocket League scene is more what I'm familiar with because that's what I played so much of as a game that is an esport. But like, there is definitely people like that like Kronovi was one of like the top Rocket League players, and he's still, I'm not saying he's not a top player. He just doesn't play. He's not as much of an attention on him as he used to be. But yeah, like he's one of the top players, and he definitely did training on the side. You go to his website and you could like basically sign up for training that he would, like, you'd pay him and he would train you as a coach, like to do things. And there's a lot of people out there in the Rocket League world that do that. And I mean,
It's
these
crazy 'cause-
are crazy. They're trainers. That's what you're paying for.
Some of these people don't even have to do that. Like, one of my favorites in esports history, and I can't even repeat what he said that got him removed from esports, but you can look him up if you want, because if I did, this would never get any attention anywhere. He was really big in StarCraft 2. His name was Idra. And he was last on a team called Evil Geniuses, and he was a StarCraft 2 player and a StarCraft 1 player. He was a StarCraft 1 champion, and he played StarCraft 2. He was Zerg, and when he finished way earlier than anybody thought he was going to, because he said some really choice words about the balancing team at Blizzard on the world stage live. And that was it. That was the end of his career. And like when they released the press release, they were like, "Don't worry, he's good. He's set." And he was just like, "Yeah, no, I'm good. Don't even worry about me. I don't care that I'm barred from the industry. It doesn't even bother me." And he just left. It's just crazy. Like some of these people, like if you've got what it takes, like now you can actually go like as far as you want. And people like that kind of pave the road for how crazy it is nowadays. The original like massive pros that showed up on the esports scene in like the late 90s to early 2000s, and like,
Yeah, I mean, even like Shroud being
did it.
like a professional for like CS:GO for a long time, and then now just kind of hangs out on Twitch and still has a huge following and sponsorships and everything, even commercials on TV. And like, he just plays other games now. He just plays whatever's hot, and that's what he's playing. And it's amazing to watch him play because he's so good.
I still don't think Shroud's actually human.
Oh no, he's definitely a robot. I mean, he's absolutely 100% robot. I mean, that's not
His
even.
reaction time makes no
It's
sense.
so
I'm just like,
ridiculous. It's like that's how at level of so good you are that it's literally a robot. Like
when like you're so nonchalant about it too, you're like stuffing your face with a Chick-fil-A sandwich, and at the same time you're like killing 5 people,
Yep.
and everyone's just like, "What?" And he's like, "Man, this sandwich is so good." And you're just like, "What?" Could
Yeah.
have 4 arms, I could still mess that up.
Yep. Alrighty. Well, that's what we have for right now. Hang tight just a few minutes and we can take a short break and listen to a word from me, I guess, talking about our sponsor. So hang out. And we're back.
Alrighty then.
So, what we've been playing this past week. Unfortunately, as I had already told you in the foreshadowing at the beginning of this podcast, was that we've been a busy week. It's been kind of busy. And unfortunately, we didn't even have a game of the moment this week. So that was something that didn't happen, which was actually made us all sad because we do like to play video games and we do like to talk about them, but we didn't really get to do that. And the next sad part about all of this is that somehow I am the only person who played a video game over the last week, which is very, very scary. Like, you guys, if you're into premonitions or any sort of like omens, you should probably go do what you need to do and sacrifice a chicken or something, because that is weird that I'm the only one that played something and you two did not. So the game that I played this past week, and I think I played this game for 10 minutes. This was not even a long time. So even with that, it's just really light. But I did pick up, because of Phoenix's Games of May video that he puts out, which is put a link in the description, a little pop up right now or something, somewhere over there. There's a game that was released on Epic. Speaking of free games, Epic was releasing a free game called Pine, Pine. And what it looked like was what it is a game that looks very much like a neat little adventure game, where you're this little character and the world is not, like, the humans are not the top of the food chain, essentially. So I started the game off. I didn't really get through all of like the training, I could say. The game didn't seem like it was early access. I didn't see anything say that when the game started or anything like that. I definitely ran into some little bit of weird kind of things, glitchy things, but it wasn't terrible. There was a lot of like interesting environment around me. You're kind of starting off on this top of this mountain, and there's like a whole tribe that you're a part of, and they kind of speak this different language, but they kind of use the subtitles and stuff so you can see what they're saying. And you kind of start going on your quest to like go pick up items so you can learn how the inventory works and learn how to do different things within the community. So I did play that for like literally 10 minutes. It seemed really interesting. The art style was really neat. And I will be picking that back up to check it out again. Because there seems like the way, even from the trailer, there looks to be a lot of content. At least, well, we'll say content. We'll say a lot of different areas, environments, and biomes. So that seemed very interesting to check out. So I will continue with that, and I'll report back to you when I have more information. But that's all I had, really, of that game. So, again, last call. Any of you guys play any games this week?
I did remember that I decided that I hated myself enough to spend 30 minutes on Bless Unleashed.
Bless Unleash.
So
that is a game that I remember you telling me about at one point.
To give you a little bit of backstory, there was a game called Bless Online many, many years ago.
Maybe you did.
And it released on Steam and was an absolute disaster.
Yes.
The release was really janky. They had a bunch of issues with logging into the game because they had like a timeout configured in a file that I actually found, and I submitted my fix to them. I created a change to their game because there was a world boss that would cause everybody in the vicinity essentially to disconnect. I actually modified the game files to use a different effect so that you wouldn't crash, and when I submitted that fix, they threatened to ban me, and then the game was completely shut down within like a year of its release. I played it through its entirety, and it only took me 116 hours to beat. And now they've released their new version, which is Bless Unleashed, which was a partnership with Bandai on Xbox. And now it has come with NeoWiz to PC. So I played their final beta or alpha, whatever they want to call it. The combat has improved and everything else is still terrible. Absolutely miserable. So it was really unfortunate. Cannot recommend. Solid 2.1 out of 20.
Yeah, I've played it several times during beta. Back a ways. We played it live at 2 different PAXs before it released even a beta. Hence the t-shirt. I think we also got like a deck of playing cards, which the playing cards are like absolutely 100% normal playing cards. They come in a box that says Bless and Leech. That was kind of funny. They had some other cool stuff there giving out, but there's some cool things about it, but it just never played very well for me. No. And I always thought it was me.
Nope.
Because I ain't spry.
Sorry, for somehow one of our users in our Discord, James E. Great, got banned from our server, and we're investigating that. And we're trying to figure out how that may have happened. Sorry, back to you.
See, you had to mess around, didn't you?
He was bragging that he couldn't be banned.
You had to mess around. You know it's empty bragging. Anyway, yeah, Bless Unleash. I thought it was me, but it sounds like it's a little bit tougher than that.
Nope, bad game. Oh well.
Yeah.
That's it.
What
That's it.
did you guys do to James?
We banned him. Dropped the ban hammer. He's banned. He's gone. He's not even able to get in with an invite. It's fantastic. It worked as expected. This is a feature. I like this feature. This is great. Moving on. So,
moving on
to our
E3.
short attention news. There you go. You're all set up now.
E3 is coming to a portal. Most people call it a web browser. They want to call it a portal. And an app. You get an app so you can watch E3. Personally, I just use the web browser. I don't know. But hubs within the portal for key announcement and game information tied to each exhibitor. Yeah, I mean, like, it's kind of weird that they're going down this path when they're just not. They just need to do it through the website. Seems kind of goofy.
What's weird is like they didn't really do this last year, so they're going to be on the late train of all of the online content. So I am wondering if it's going to be like a complete disaster because they didn't even try last year. So this will be interesting. We'll report it. It'll happen.
Very interesting.
Our next story is sorry, I was distracted.
I was like, really interesting, Demurin. Wink, wink, wink.
Tell you, it's been a long week. It literally has been a long week.
I was actually messing with Xycia by unbanning the person he just banned and repermissioning them.
Oh my god. Why?
Anyways, our next story is going back all the way to the PS5. Which it's an announcement of new controllers coming out, new colored controllers. So there are two new ones, and they're essentially a black and red PS5 DualSense controller. The first one called, and now I've lost the article because I'm a terrible person, I don't remember the names of them. Well, the first one is Midnight Black. So it's coming in at $70. And then the second is Cosmic Red, which is coming in at $75, or $74.99, but $75 as far as I don't know. Let me see. I think the release date is June 18th is when it will be pre-orderable, or is that when it releases? That is when it releases. So I mean, just new hardware coming out for Sony PS5. There's no indication of a new console in general just yet, which they did specify that is not the intent at this point in time. Just two new controllers to be associated with the current PlayStation 5 that is out there, both digital and disc, obviously.
Alrighty. So Fallout 76, they have, I mean, as most sandbox games, people tend to make up their own things because why not? It's a sandbox. So they have actually did a twist on this a little bit. They created their own Iron Chef in a sense. So if you're familiar with like the Chop series or Iron Chef series, usually like 3 or 4 chefs get up there. They have a mystery box, a bag of like things they have to use, and they can use the rest of the items they have, and then try to make dishes out of what they're given. So same thing here. They're having this at the Elgato pub, and they have like all these different types of recipes, and they're given a special thing, and they're trying to, make this like almost like a competition with everyone. And from one of the reviews is like, this is actually pretty interesting because some people are actually coming up with some interesting things. So if you're interested, it's definitely on Twitch. You can check it out. People are doing it.
Cool. Well, An interesting thing happened recently when a woman who happens to do some stuff on TikTok joined her company's professional development meeting where the trainer was educating the employee on diversity, specifically LGBTQ plus issues. And she joined, and interestingly enough, saw that she had what was apparently a viral image that someone had created where they mashed up Pokemon Unknown with other gender symbols. And unbeknownst to this poor presenter, who thought she had looked up actual like alternative gender symbols, had gotten this instead. Now, for those that don't know, the unknown Pokemon, which is unknown without a K in it, I believe. They actually form an alphabet, but that's them. And as opposed to like some suggested alternative gender symbols, you can see where that kind of mashup between these two comes the complete and utter train wreck that became her presentation. The TikToker basically emailed her and said, I think this is what you want to use, and made a viral video about it.
Wow. Some people, I wish they would just do a little bit of research before doing some things.
I think her little bit of research is how she found it and how she got in trouble.
That's just do a little bit more research, I guess. Speaking of other things that are underground and just people doing things in the like sandbox type world, so in World of Warcraft, some people have started like a fight club. There's like underground fight clubs going on. There's an Azothurian boxing association now, apparently, where there are people that meet up at the Atan Monastery in Pandaria. And right now, there is like the undefeated night elf Ranthiel Shadowsong, who shows up in names like the Silver Tongue Devil or the Doctor. And even they've ever had people book weddings with her match behind it so they could, get married and then do a match. So people are basically getting together now and having like underground boxing fights and also just fights. It's just things like this amaze me. It's just crazy and it's awesome.
Our next story is more weird than anything else. And it's somewhat cool, I guess. But it's essentially about Nvidia's broadcast function. So they recently, they're updating the filters so that it can filter out the sound of, as this article states, that 1 billion sex-starved cicadas. So across many states on the east coast of the U.S., there will be billions of newly hatched cicada nymph. So with that comes the oh-so-sweet sound of cicadas. And Nvidia has decided to release a fix for that so that they're not plaguing people's remote Zoom sessions or Zoom meetings, Teams meetings, etc. by adding an update to their broadcast filter that filters out specifically that exact sound.
Sweet. So there's a new game coming to the Switch store. It is listed at $10, and it's actually really neat. It comes back from a lot of research from what over the years of time that humans have been doing a lot of things, and it puts the ability for you as a human to use your Switch as a device called a calculator. So for $10, you can turn your Switch into this device and be able to use it with flawless accuracy and to be able to calculate any type of numbers, any type of scientific calculations, anything like that. Looks identical to almost like an Apple iPhone one, but not saying that that's what's happening here. But $10 app, you can go check it out, and then you too can carry your Switch to have a calculator.
I mean, I don't know which part I'm more disappointed in, that they put the $10 app out there, or the fact that Demiran already had it on a Switch.
That was his phone, wasn't it?
That was my phone.
No, it looked close enough.
That wouldn't surprise me.
Yeah.
I saw like a red back, so it looked like a Switch.
Fair enough. Yeah. Yeah. Our next short is about the top 15 most played games on the Epic Games Store, which kind of touches base to an earlier discussion we had in the podcast. But essentially, once again, because of the Apple versus Epic trial, additional information is coming out, and this was just a piece of the information which discusses the most played games on the Epic Store in the last 7 days. And essentially, they show things like GTA 5 with 1.6 million users, Football Manager with 1.4 million, Watch Dogs 2 specifically with 1 million, Rocket League with 0.9 million or 900,000 essentially users, and many others that are all up in that range. So it's just kind of crazy to see how many active titles they have running on there in the top 50.
That in how many of these top 15 they had timed exclusives on? Because didn't they have a timed exclusive on Rocket League, Spellbreak?
Well, I think Rocket League is
maybe.
I think they're just keeping Rocket League. They bought that and they're
Yeah, I
going
think
for
they're
That's right.
keeping
That's right. They bought it.
I think the crazier
because
thing
it came to Steam first.
is how
Yeah.
many of these were free.
Yeah. Well, some of them still are free. Dauntless is free to play.
GTA 5, the top one at 1.6 million, completely
Yeah.
free on their platform for an entire week.
Wow.
Was it a week or was it more than a week? I forgot. Anyway, speaking of well-played games, there was a small little game, hotly anticipated by a lot of people, which was Resident Evil Village, or Resident Evil 8, which broke a record on Steam for over 100,000 concurrent players. And that's just Steam. So that's just people who bought it through, Valve Steam, where people could have bought it through other places as well. 100,000 concurrent players. Not a one of them was Xycia.
No, it won't be. I will. The only way I'm going to play this game, and this isn't a challenge, this is the only way that I'm going to play this game, is if you guys make me play this during my Shocktober when I try to raise money again for the Able Gamers.
I don't think that'd be worth it, because
I mean,
the first
yeah,
you would only play like an hour or so of it, and the first hour or so is so boring. Like, you would literally have to play an hour or two of this first before the game actually started taking off, where it was worth Shocktober.
and I wouldn't play a game like this more than a few hours.
Give me your login. I'll do it for you. I'll get you to a fun spot. I'll have you a save game set.
Yeah.
Take off for Shocktober, and you'll be fighting a creepy little doll.
Now, I will say, one of the things that they
Spoilers.
put out there is that Village was purposely made to be less scary
Yeah.
than 7. So.
I mean, I'm sure that. Well, I think they did that later, though. I think that was something that was announced after the fact.
No, I misread that.
Oh,
and
okay.
Misspoke that. What they did is they had designed it to be where 7 was just like this. After you got started, it was like this constant level of terror, like all the time. This was meant to be, like terror, and then like give you a little bit of break, and then terror and give you a little bit of break, which I don't know which of those two is better, because like a constant level of terror, you start to get numb to it after a while.
Well, I'm glad that I never got that far in 7, so that's good.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll have to like expand the hours of gameplay for it.
I
so.
mean, honestly, I think it should be played. Someone should get you so far first in 8, and everything I heard about 8 is they made it better than the last one. That like this, some of the stuff that even you and I are like, man, what's going on here? They made it better. So
Yeah.
should be interesting.
So the last thing we have this week, and it all comes back from the Epic Apple lawsuit, is that, and this is really kind of out of left field to me. Doesn't necessarily surprise me, being that this company is a large company. But Walmart apparently had a little bit of a chip they were trying to throw into the fire into the console war. And I know Walmart, like, what are we talking about here, right? But Walmart actually had an unannounced cloud gaming service that they were going to release. It was under the name of Project Storm, which came out in some of the confidential emails they had going back and forth. And this was said by one of the Epic's Games co-founder, Mark Rain. He said, "I played Walmart's demo on an Android phone with an Xbox controller, and the experience felt like playing on PS4 and superior to playing on Android or iOS." So it sounded like this was going to do something. And he also says they're going to sell the clip for a crazy low amount. They were saying something like $2 for the clip to attach to your cell phone. So it would be like way lower than most companies would be selling their devices for. And they had this whole cloud network set up, like how they were going to do this. Obviously, we haven't heard anything else about this becoming anything. So this may be dead in the water at this point. But it was just interesting to hear that even Walmart was trying to do something. So very, very interesting. All right, emails, and we're done. No emails this week, so if you want to send us an email, do that. You can send an email to us at goa@sasgaming.com, and then we'll read your email out loud if you want us to, or we'll just chuckle about it or whatever. But ultimately, sasgaming.com gets you all of our links, and you know, that way you can get, you know, in the Discord and then get banned or buy spray to ban people, and that'd be great. So that's what got our attention this week. And if you are listening to the podcast and you want to check us out live, you can do that on Thursday nights on Twitch, or you can check it out on YouTube later once we throw it up. We will have, so if you are, you know, interested in, you know, supporting us in some way other than just being here and hanging out, we do have a Patreon set up. It's patreon.com/sasgaming. And you'll be able to check that out and be able to get the podcast ad free. So that way you can just skip through the little ad there. And plus it supports us, helps us content create and all that fun stuff. So if you're interested in following me, I'm Xycia, Xycia, Xycia Gaming on Twitter, Xycia on Twitch, and Instagram is the same thing with gaming. So that's my deets. What about you, Bron?
Yeah, find me on Twitter at Phoenix Nova, PhoenNix Nova. From there, you can usually find the rest of my stuff. If you put an underscore in between those, that's how you find me on Twitch, but I'm not twitching all that much. Mostly, most of my content right now is on YouTube, and I'm getting there. I got 53 subscribers, so I'm almost there for that custom URL, so that one of these times when I say it, I can give the YouTube channel. Demirin.
You can find me on Twitter at Demirin Gaming or on Twitch at just Demirin, DYMYRN.
Sweet. So again, that's what we have. Obviously, we appreciate you guys being here, and until next time, be safe. You know, love one another. Be a good brother, sister. Wear a mask. Get vaccinated. All the fun stuff. And
time out James for a minute.
And we will be here again next week. And until then, y'all have a good time. Take care.